Hey there, growers and stoners. We're gonna talk about the controversial growing tip of deleafing your plants, removing vegetation during your flowering stage. A lot of experienced growers will tell you not to do it because if the plant didn't need them, they wouldn't be there, right? And then there's a lot of people like myself that believe that if you take them off, that you're going to have a higher yield. It's really, some gardens might be different, some strains might be different, but there is, from all my experience, what I've noticed, growing and taking off your leaves during flower is really important. Some growers will tell you that everywhere that you cut off a leaf, you risk the chance of opening that plant up to places for mold and mildew and everything else like that to start. So that's something you want to be aware of. Your leaf is essentially two different parts. There's your actual the palmate fan right here, and then this part down here, just the stick part, I guess you want to call it, is called the petiole. And that's, you want to cut as close to your lateral branch as possible with your petiole. One thing to consider is not, however, cutting your leaf. For example, this one is ingrained right in the middle of this bud. So that might not be something that I would want to clip off. So a lot of people would really frown upon that. I do it selectively. I don't do it to all of them, but that's a good way to start with some pot mold. One thing to really consider as well is when you're cutting a leaf, don't cut it, say, in the middle of the petiole, because that leaves this little stub part here, and this will eventually just turn brown, rot, and fall off. But you want to get rid of that kind of stuff, and you want to get it all the way down as close as you can to the stalk. Here is an example of a leaf that I trimmed off earlier in the season, and you can see that there is a little bit of brown there, and that's not good. Well, I mean, it's not bad because this is healed at this point, but if you can see it right there. Another thing people will go back and forth on is using trimmers as opposed to just using your fingers to pull leaves. Using your fingers to pull leaves will work, and it's just fine most of the time. People say not to use trimmers because it will contaminate from one section to another if there was an issue. For example, I see this leaf right here, and you notice it has like a white powdery stuff on it, and it starts out as spots, which I see another couple leaves with spots on them, and those are water spots, or the start of powdery mildew. That can be contained a number of ways, usually this late in flower. you don't want to be spraying anything on your plants or on your buds. So that's something you want to take care of before your plants get too far in flower. This plant over here doesn't have too many problems with it, just a few leaves here and there. But pulling this leaf off, these spores, they fall onto the leaves and everything else below it. So you want to make sure that when you find stuff like this, you want to go ahead and try and contain it as quickly as possible, which I'm out here every day, so I do a pretty good job at that. But that's just another thing you want to look for. I prefer curved pruners for the simple fact that when you're going onto a branch, you can put your pruners here up right by the leaf, by the palmate, and then slide all the way down right to your branch or your bud or whatever, and get it as close as possible down in there. So that's something that this is all highly debated. There's a lot of people that can go back and forth. You can leave your comments down below. Let me know like your experiences with it, what you found is good and what's not when trying to de-leaf your garden. What's your thoughts on it? How many years have you had experience? Whatever. For those of you like me that like to use all of the plant, you can use these leaves. Some people will just put them in their compost, but and I feed them to my chickens and my geese. However, these leaves, it's all salad green, so you can just throw some olive oil or some dressing on it. It's usually best to take off the petioles, and just eat the leaves. But that is a use for you, and there aren't a lot of cannabinoids in it, but there are some that will be helpful and beneficial for you if you need them, and so you can use them for that. Another thing you can do is you can use it and for other things like tinctures and stuff like that. There'll be more CBD than THC if you want to make some light tinctures, but that's an option for you. Every part of this plant is useful, and these leaves included. So here's what it looks like after I de-leafed it. You can see nice and through all the branches. I did just this one and picked around on the one next to it. As you can see, that one right there, still a little fluffy. Still needs all of its leaves pulled. Same with this one here. And the rest of them back there as well. But this one right here, I pulled most of the leaves off it. We got some decent looking colas here forming. Here in the Pacific Northwest, it usually takes a little bit longer. But everything's looking good coming along. Nice frosty leaves there. Hairs are nice and white. close and compact with all the growth there. And then as you can see right there, we have nice fat calyx. There we go.